Lost a good one.
Ah, come on, man.
I can't find my fresh Mex victory hat anywhere. Anyone seen it?
Please, Danny's gonna die if I don't...
Cashews in your mouth!
Unauthorized cashews!
Go, 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 go!
Ladies and gentlemen of the Revolution, it is Cordkillers episode -512, our second beta episode. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, man, I'm Brian Brushwood, and that was my new favorite thing. I finally got seduced. I sat there every night having sweet dreams from Fraser Kane saying, Brian, you never watched Bravest Warriors. It's only the funniest thing on the planet, and I only ask you every time I ever appeared on every show you ever hosted, why won't you watch Bravest Warriors? And today, I made the world right, and that is a funny-ass show. And what was weird, let's bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, Fraser Kane.
This is your life. Fraser Kane is here right now.
I had given up all hope that you were going to watch that show, but I think I had infected you enough that you just carried the guilt on without me, and I'm really grateful that you finally got a chance to watch it. What'd you think?
Oh my God. Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't let my kids watch it with me because I knew it was way weirder. It had a slightly more adult sensibility. And so it wasn't until like the 6th episode that they were, if I may, they were injecting aliens into their butts so that they could fall in love through each other's butts, or else there would be 100 years of war on the planet. And that's when my daughter walked in and was like, what is going on? And I was like, well, I guess I'm in for it now. So I sat with my 6-year-old and watched the entire thing.
It's mostly appropriate most of the time for most of the kids. And then every now and then there's something that just confronts your parenting style, and you have to kind of deal with it. But for most of the time, no, it's a fantastic
explicitly
show.
rated R, right? It's just like
it's just weird. Like I think like they never use any foul language or anything, but you could kind of tell they're talking about like getting all up in that business or something. Like you'll hear vague euphemisms like that.
Getting
you're like
frisky with.
You're like, come on, you need to make this happen and then have 9 babies. You know, that's very clearly what they're talking about. But I loved it a lot, and I can't thank you enough for harping on me for it.
Good. How did you like the final episode of the first season with the horse?
Oh my God, that was
something?
amazing. My other daughter came in at around then, and she was like, "Why did you not tell me about this show, Dad?" It's amazing. But none of that is our biggest story, Tom.
No. Fraser Kane, Universe Today. Thank you for joining us.
Before we do, I have a present for you guys.
Uh-oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
Which is I've got the only cable in my whole house.
What? Ladies and gentlemen.
No. Look at you. Committing.
Oh!
There you go.
That cord just got cut, ladies and gentlemen.
It got killed.
Yeah. That
like
cord is dead.
I'm just going to get the other end just in case someone tries to
killing it some more.
together.
Kill it with fire, man. Look at
You're
that.
like, I don't even want this to be useful as an antenna.
Yeah. It's done.
Well,
All right.
ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know,
on.
this is Cordkillers. Our mission is to report the intel on the cord-cutting revolution that helps you watch what you want, when you want, where you want it, on any damn device you please. And we were using our old-fashioned segment headlines last week, Brian, but we heard some people were not. Maybe they felt that wasn't right.
Yes, I believe the word stole was used. And so we don't want to steal nothing. We don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. So we're going to create up all new titles for everything, which means for our first unnamed segment, we came up with like 5 different names for everything. This first segment we were thinking about calling either, maybe do
We're going to acquire, Brian. We're going to acquire the primary target.
Boom.
It just turned into a military operation.
You're damn right it did.
It's a revolution, man. Hey, we upgraded from cardboard at least.
That's right.
Downgraded.
So, I got tons of people giving me this this link over the week since we last did Cordkillers on Twitter. Chris Nadas, who's the product database chief over at Engadget, used to be at Gadget, now part of the Gadget empire, was pointing out a consumer survey by Leichtman Research Group, which was pointed out in turn by Wall Street Journal, showing that 1% of U.S. households stopped wired